Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk About Ice on the Couch tonight. We've got a real special program happening tonight. We're actually going to hear from a family's perspective of addiction, support members of a family, a lovely mum who's on the couch here with me. Meet Aileen, everybody.
Hello.
Hey. And of course we're going to, as Andrea likes to say, we're going to take dominion over the situation. So I better get rid of this. Andrea, can you catch? I'm just going to throw this away because I'm going to use him as my security blanket otherwise. But before we do get going, guys, on tonight's Let's Talk About Ice, I just want to thank a few people that are sponsoring us at the moment. Firstly, we've got Gardner Cars in Burleigh, and what they're doing for the month of June for us is for every car that they sell, the purchaser gets a choice of 3 charities to put a certain percentage of the sale into for donation. And we are one of those 3. So if you're going to buy a car or looking at buying a car, know anybody who's looking at buying a car, please go down to Gardner Cars and in Burleigh, and they will truly look after you. It's a family-run business, and they will truly look after you, and percentage of the sale will go towards us here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign, so we can continue the work that we do. Also, Benoa Gardens Grilled. Remember, if you're hungry, please head down to Benoa Gardens Grilled as their Life Matters donation thing, if you know about them. If you don't, go down and learn. You buy a burger, you get given a token, and you choose from 3 different charities to place that token in, and please place it into the Australian Anti-Ice Campaign token. Doing these little things can actually help change the course of history in somebody's life, because you're donating towards a cause that we are doing education and awareness of the evil drug of ice in the community. Okay, so that's good. And guess what? Oh, I haven't got my tin, Andrea. You haven't got a tin, have you? You can pass me. This weekend we're going to be doing some shaking, rattling and rolling down at Cooley Rocks. Andrea and I have swapped jobs tonight, so I'm going to catch these. Yay! Well done. There'll be a team of us down at Cooley Rocks over the weekend. Look out for us. We'll be in our shirts, whether it's Neo or the Not Even Once shirts, shaking our tings, giving our pamphlets about Australian Anti-Ice Campaign. So head on down to Coolangatta for Cooley Rocks Festival this weekend. Look out for us and come up and say hello and drop a coin or a note or 2 into our donation tins. So we'll be down there this weekend, so looking forward to that. That's going to be fun, Aileen.
It will be.
Yeah, we make it fun, you know. So we're going to be doing that. So so that's them. Now tonight, guys, if you have got any questions during this interview that we're going to do tonight, please don't hesitate to type them up on the comments section of the Facebook page of live stream here, because I've got my PA. I can say she's my PA. I'm usually her PA. But my PA, Andrea, we've swapped jobs, will pass me your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them while we're on live stream. Okay, and even if you miss the show and you've got a question, please still type it up. And I know Aileen will be certainly looking at the show afterwards and answering any questions that you may have. So please type them in. Even just to type a hi and say where are you listening from would be so good. And also, please share this live stream through your Facebook account. And we're on YouTube too tonight. We've worked it out. Oh my goodness, we're quick. We're also live streaming on YouTube tonight as well. And please share this live stream throughout your Facebook family and friends, because you don't know whose life you could be changing because you're showing this program too, okay? And somebody will see it who needs to see it. I work in family support, as most of us know, and I get calls from people, and I usually ask, where did you hear about us from? And sometimes they'll say, my friend shared your program on Facebook, and I went, wow. So that's the importance of sharing, okay? So you don't know who may need to hear the message that we've got out there tonight. Okay, so please share. If you want to also volunteer with us, if you want to donate to us, please check out our website. It's all the W's, australianantiicecampaign.org.au, and our lovely production manager over there, Brad, will put that up on the screen. And if you do need help, or you have a loved one who's in addiction, please don't hesitate to call 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. Okay, so that's 1-800-NOTOICI on your dial. Okay, so that's what we've covered tonight. I think we've covered everything. Let's get into this wonderful interview. We'll put the tin away. We will get the tissues out, guys, because we might need them tonight. I know I do. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I was going to say my sleeve on my heart. Sorry, Ossifer, said the wrong thing. We're going to hear from a mum who did not ever give up on her daughter, who was going through addiction herself. So let me introduce to you Aileen. Welcome to the show, Aileen.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in to share your story as well, because as you heard me say, your story can help someone out there, and it can change.
So.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we do this, guys. We don't like to bring up raw things that have happened in our lives, but we do it because we want to see that it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, and we don't want to see you go through the pain that we've gone through with loved ones in addiction. So, Aileen, now your story is going to start at the end, and we're going to work backwards.
Yeah.
So, how would you like to share tonight?
Well, I moved here from New Zealand in August 2014. I sold my house. I had to sell it because there's too many people that used to come there and raid the garage and go under the house and try and rip copper pipes off and everything that were in my daughter's life after I let her come back home when she had nobody to live. I told her I didn't want anybody around the property, but she brought all these criminal types, drug type people, and it was just horrific, and it was really breaking my heart. Also, I was seeing how my grandson, who was then about 5 or 6, was how his life was going. She was just leaving him either with me, or she was driving him around the back of a car, and it was killing me to see all this happen.
Yeah, as it does.
Yeah. And so my son, who was over here, said, "Mum, you need to pack up and come over here. This is killing you." And it would have, watching her kill herself. I came over here and I spent many nights down by the water asking God, the moon goddess, anybody, the universe, if they would please help her get off this terrible, terrible drug. I heard stories that she was in hospital, her heart had stopped, they're bringing her back to life. She was waking up in the middle of the road with trucks bearing down on her, tooting horns, and I just thought she's either going to end up dead or in jail, and either is not a very nice option, but one way she's got to get off this terrible meth problem that she had. Eventually she got caught for an aggravated robbery, and she got finally put in jail because of many other charges. The judge put her in jail for an 18-month sentence, I think. While she's in jail, she's a model prisoner, and she, the New Zealand government has, or the courts have a program called the drug court that they can go through, and they can take a model prisoner, somebody who they believe is worth saving, and put them through the rehab system, and a really strict regime it was. Right. And they recognised Shannon, and they pulled her out of jail after 5 months and put her through this program, and she impressed everybody by her determination to be clean and stay off it. At one early stage back a couple of years ago, because she's been clean 2.5 years now, I asked her what was her motivation to not ever go back on it again. She goes, not going back to jail. And I thought, well, that's, to me, wasn't a good enough motivation. I believe it's changed now. It's about family and about not ruining her life as it was back then. But she went through a program. She became her grandson's grandmother, the paternal grandmother, took her in when nobody else would to get her out of jail. If she didn't have a house to go to, they weren't going to let her come out. And I mean, I couldn't do anything. Really, the whole of her family had abandoned her. She had abused us too many times. But I continued to love her and support her, and the best that I could, and I never gave up on her. I even managed to be able to email her every day at the jail, and ring a couple of times a week. They let me talk to her because I was in Australia. Yes. And they were a bit lenient on that, so that was good support because
Can I stop you there for a
Yeah.
minute? I just see so far a mother's love is so unconditional. A mother's love will climb mountains, will
It
tear
will.
down walls
it will.
for their kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I can see that in you. I can see that. No wonder it's not surprising she was a model prisoner.
Yeah.
She had a wonderful mum. And this drug does not discriminate people. It doesn't. You can come from the most wonderful, well-valued family and you can still get hooked on this evil drug. So I just needed to say, because I
Thank
want to
you.
encourage you, because I know with mums, sometimes they feel, and I've spoken to
I
many
doubted
parents,
my parenting.
Yeah,
I doubted
you
my
doubted-
parenting. I
yeah.
thought, where did I go wrong?
you did nothing wrong, and you've probably dealt with that and know
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that out there. You're not doing anything wrong. You know, you're doing it out of the heart of love, and that love that a mother, a father, an uncle, an aunt has for their
Yeah,
loved
and I
one, and
think-
even a partner.
Yeah, you just got to keep loving them, even if it's from afar, even if you don't want to witness their lifestyle.
Mm.
But I when I was over there, I did try and stay in it to be there for her. And I mean, after I sold the house, the people that bought it from me, they said one night they went out there and she was sitting on the back deck. So she's obviously missing the house that we lived in for 20 years and had so many wonderful memories. So she went back to it in her meth state just to sit there, and I had gone and the house had gone. And she was like, they found her sitting on the back deck and things like that. And it's like somewhere in there was my little girl that I had to pull back out and try and, even if it was from afar, loving her and supporting her and trying to help her get back out of this dark hole. The system that she came through was so successful, and now she's actually working for the rehab as a supervisor and helping other. She's works for the supervisor as a supervisor at the rehab, helping the new people coming in through the system, to helping and supporting them, and she still goes through a lot of counselling and stuff to keep herself. But,
How long has she been off the gear for?
nearly 2.5 years now, I think it is.
Oh man, you must be so proud of her.
I am. I'm so very proud of her. I mean, she's always been very good at what she's done, and she's been good. She was good at, obviously, a drug dealer,
Yeah.
which is not a really commendable thing, but she's good at being an a recovering addict, she calls herself.
Yes.
She's she says she'll always be in recovery.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of her, and I'm really proud of her that she's got her family back together, and she's doing beautiful things, and she's got her morals back as well.
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
She had a good upbringing. I mean, she says some things. All of my kids say some things that were not
We're not perfect. as
exactly.
parents. Who is? There's no
Nobody's
rule book.
perfect, but she had a loving, warm family environment, you
Yes.
know, and it's like that's one thing she always had was love and support. She was always a great sports person and had wonderful friends, you know. And it's like now, just watching her it's just made my heart so light. I mean, when she was in jail, I cried myself to sleep every night, and I yelled at God and everything. I said, why are you letting this happen to her, you know?
That's natural.
And it's just such an evil drug. I just don't understand why people would want to touch it in the first place. Anyone that is intelligent, why would they want to go down that
Yeah, a lot of it is peer pressure. A lot of it is trying to escape maybe pain from a lot of people. I've heard a lot of stories of people saying they've broken up with partners or had family breakdown of some sort, and they want to just escape the pain. And they don't realise, because they don't know what this drug looks like, they don't know what it does to them. And what we do is we go into schools and workplaces, and we, through lived experience people, we will tell you, we will go into the schools and we will say, we're not here to tell you not to do it, we're not your parent. We come in to say, this is what happens when you do it. And do you know what it looks like? Do you know what it looks like? Nobody knows. It's a simple harmless. It can come as a pipe. It can come in very, very forms and facets, and nobody knows what it looks like. They think it's okay, and it's this one drug that gets you addicted straight away. And I've heard that the first time you take it, you have the highest of highs, and then you're looking for that next, and you can't get it because it breaks down the neurological pathways in the brain.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to find that high again, and it can't find that high. And then your next minute you're hooked on it, and people are taking it to wake up, to go down, to stay awake, and people stay on it for days at a time.
I know, and that's the problem, that being awake for so long, the human body isn't made to stay awake for 3-4 days at a time, and that's where the crazy behaviour comes in, where crazy irrational behaviour, I mean, we're all like that when we're sleep deprived,
yes.
but these ice addicts are worse, you know, because...
Yeah.
But I think Shannon started on the party pills that were illegal and that sold in the shops and the dairies that we call in New Zealand. She started on that. She is always a thrill seeker, looking for the buzz or whatever, or the adrenaline rush or whatever. And so I think she started on that, and then she met somebody who got her onto the P, as they call it in New Zealand, or ice or meth. And it's and that's what would have excited her.
Yes.
That whatever it is that they get from it. But, you know, like now in retrospect, like everybody usually has a family member affected by that, and that's the epidemic. It's the horrible epidemic, and I found out that there were more members of our family, you know, that were addicted to it, and it's like, and I never knew at the time. I was naivety, I guess, of the drug.
Is it okay if I get you to share? You shared with me before the show a little bit about some of the episodes that you witnessed with your daughter. There was one particular one in the car. Would you like to share that? Oh,
that was horrific. I went home, well, I've been home lots of times because I like to go home and keep my grandsons, knowing that their Nana loves them. And I picked up my youngest grandson, I picked up my daughter. We were going to the oldest grandson's place, and his father was going to cook us dinner, so we stopped at the supermarket to buy whatever he needed. And Shannon had a lemonade bottle, 1.5 litre full of this liquid, and I thought it was lemonade, you know, I didn't know what it was, but I thought it was lemonade or water, you know. And my grandson and I went shopping, came out, she said she's just going to stay out there, she's seen somebody she knows. I came out, we started to drive off, and she was in the front seat and my grandson was in his car seat in the back, and she had this fit, like almost stroke-like, where she was, her hands were buckled up, she was falling over on me while I was driving and dribbling spit, and my grandson in the back was saying, "Are you all right, Mummy? Are you okay? Are you sick, Mummy?" So he could only see the back of it, luckily. And I was just, I thought, my heart was just racing. I thought, what am I going to do? You know, and I thought, shall I take her to the hospital? So I thought I would just take her and see Billy, ask Billy, because he's been in that drug scene for a while, and ask him what to do. And he said, no, she'll be all right after half an hour if she just goes and lies down, had a sleep, which is what she did, and she got up and she was fine. But I had that image in my head for the rest of my life. I thought she was having a stroke and dying right in front of my grandson and me. It was just horrific, and that's just such a bad experience. I wouldn't want anybody to go through that again. You know.
Absolutely. So if you're listening and you are struggling with addiction yourself, we have got a Facebook page. You can personal message us and let us know that you need help, and we will get to you, and we will organise what we do as a buddy system. It's called the tripod system of support that we use here. So we set you up with the first leg as a buddy, somebody who's been in addiction and come out the other side of it themselves. We call them lived experience people, and they will encourage you to get into rehab, detox, and that's the second leg. And the third leg also encourage you in the way of clinical counselling or psychology through your GP, but they'll walk the walk with you, and that's what we do, because we find those that have lived the experience, they know They've been there themselves. They can pick up the manipulation. They can pick up, and they can also say when you're having a down day. And I know I say it many times because I've heard it from Andrea, and she said there were times when she was going through her detox and her recovery that there were days where she just didn't want to get out of bed and just wanted to die. And her buddy would get alongside her and say, no, die tomorrow. Today we're going to go and help the homeless, or we're going to go and do this. And Andrea's thing was music, and so she got involved in music. And so, you know, that's what the buddy does for you. They help you along your way. But you've got to be willing to want that help too. You've got to be willing. So my question now to you is, when did it get to a point for your daughter Shannon to get to that point where she knew she needed to change, and why or how?
Well, it was jail. Jail was like having been forced into recovery because you're in jail.
Yep.
But as she told me, there was ice available in jail. But she refused it at one stage. She refused it after she'd been there a couple of months because she didn't want to stay in there any longer. She didn't want to do anything wrong. So she refused it and kept her nose clean. And I'm not sure at what point, I think it's getting out of, when she came out of jail and going through this drug court system, her motivation, I asked her, will you ever take drugs again? And she said no. And I go, well, what's your motivation? She said, not going back to jail. Well, I don't think that was a good reason at that time, but it was her motivation. Now, I believe, just from my observations, that it's probably changed, and now it's having her boys back, her family back, and a drug-free life. That is her motivation.
So is she over here now, or is she still,
she's still in New Zealand?
But you've gone over and visited her?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what have been the good times about...
the last time I went home was for my youngest daughter's graduation, and Shannon asked if I could stay with her sometimes, so I mainly stayed with her because it was lovely, and she said, I want you to sleep with me, Mum. Oh. And now this is as a teenager, when I used to go and wake her up, I used to kiss all over her face, and she used to fob me off.
Yeah.
And say, get out, and I'd try and get in and snuggle her, and she'd go, get out, Mum, you know. And now she said, I want you to sleep with me, which was, it just melted my heart. And I said, but I snore. And she goes, I don't care.
Oh my God.
She goes, and this is...
She's always to come to that point of realisation that she...
wants her mum back.
Yeah,
or wants a relationship like we had when we were little, when she was little. Yeah. Yeah, and when they used to come and hop into bed with me and stuff. Yeah. And and that was just the highlight of going home, as well as my youngest daughter's getting her degree. And
well done, congratulations.
Yeah, and it's... that was just the most beautiful thing, and I think I can't wait to have more experiences with her like that, and because of all her counselling and the work that she's done on herself, I'm actually getting advice from her when I'm having problems, you know, like I'll FaceTime her, we FaceTime a lot, and talk to her, and she'll explain to me what is going through other people's heads, and because she's just so incredibly...
Absolutely. Now, we've had a question out there from Wazza. Hi, Wazza. He's one of our presenter guys, works here. He's asked, is it confidential? I'm not sure of that question. I don't know what that means, Wazza. You might have to be a little bit more clear on that question, is what confidential is... I know the tripod system of support, yes, definitely. If you're talking about the tripod system of support, definitely it is confidential. We won't give out any, and as you know, the confidential laws are we don't share anything unless permission is given or a life is threatened. So yeah, definitely is, if that's what you mean was. So we'll talk about that. Now we'll talk about the. I like to talk with family support and talking to families about the enabling and not enabling. Now you did say you had to move from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Let's go back there a little bit.
Yeah.
You look back now. And you were saying earlier about how you saw you enabled her, but I love your experience of that. Could you explain that for us?
At the beginning of this journey of her ice addiction, to get money, she was very manipulative. Like, she told me she wanted to buy this new car. And I said, well, you need to sell the old one. She goes, well, I'll do that after I buy the new car. So she worked at a loan company and got a loan. and I had to guarantor it.
Mm-hmm.
So then she bought this new car, supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
and then I said, you need to sell the other one. And she goes, no, I've decided to keep it. And I said, well, where's the other car? So she manipulated me into getting money for
Mm-hmm.
that I guarantored. And then she was able somehow to top it up or whatever, which left me when she ran off with a debt, a massive debt. So I had to refinance and pay that loan. Then enabling her, like I let her come back home after I kicked her out because she wasn't paying rent, and I said, well, you have to pay rent. So I kicked her out. At one stage I let her come back, and she made a little flat out in the garage, and I said, you can come home, but only these two friends are allowed here, nobody else. And next thing I had these terrible characters, and what turns out to be criminals wanted by the police coming through my back gate where my bedroom was. I look out the window, and one of them, I remember, was so stupid. I said, who are you? And he told me his name. So I rang the police, and they said, oh, we want him. So next thing there were 6 police cars around, surrounding the house and coming to take him away.
Yeah.
And I had cell phone numbers of a police officer, so I could contact them directly. If these certain people came onto my property, and we had a couple of people come, and the police come and bust into the garage and arrest him, another one. The neighbours got used. I've been there 20 years. The neighbours got used to the police being outside my place many times. I pulled up after work after an 18-hour shift. I used to manage a leagues club, and there was a car parked outside my house. And as I pulled up, the light shone on the number plate, and I saw something shiny, and they put black tape to change the number from a 3 to an 8. So I rang the police and reported it, and they came round and they went into the garage, and it turns out my daughter had the keys. So I sort of ended up dropping her in it, which, you know, I'm glad, because it's illegal and they'd stolen a car.
Yeah.
There's lots of experiences, like horrific things. I was living in this fear the whole time. At one stage I was at the club, and the police broke, and the alarm set off, and the alarm company were ringing me saying, your alarm's going off. And I had 2 girlfriends who had just left me, and I said, can you please go and sit outside the house, but don't go in, because somebody's broken into my house.
Right.
And they rang me, and they go, the police are here. And I said, oh, that's good. And they go, no, it's the police that are broken in. The police are broken in because of this drug.
They did a raid on your own home. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was pretty horrific. Living with my neighbours loved me. I'm not the sort of person who gets hell bent on what the neighbours think. So, but they all love me anyway. And in actual fact, when I sold my house, there was a 70-odd-year-old lady across the road who we had a lot to do with, and she said to me, I don't feel safe now that you're leaving the street. I'm going to move into a rest home.
They actually felt safe while the police was around.
She felt safe because of
that's
me,
a different perspective.
yeah, I know, it's sort of weird, because she knew I wouldn't stand for anything.
Yes.
She knew that because being a security guard as well, and I'm tougher than I think I'm tough anyway.
Well, you don't come across tough tonight.
Sometimes I can be.
Okay.
But the enabling thing, so I let her come back in. But then she had to move out when I sold the house, and then she was constantly ringing me or her brother asking for money for a bond, because she'd been kicked out of this place and that for not paying rent. So we did that a few times. We paid her bond. I went to Kmart and bought her a whole house full of stuff, but she would end up just leaving behind and
selling
for
drugs. Oh my goodness.
And so eventually, when she became clean, and then she wanted to move out of the halfway house. Oh, it's not called a halfway house. A house that they go to after the rehab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and she became the house captain.
Okay.
At one stage, managing the money for it, buying the food, and making sure that everybody's behaving themselves.
Yep.
Then she wanted to move into her own place and get her son back, and she asked for help with the bond. And this is when I went from enabling to not enabling, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not Jeremy and I aren't giving you any more money. And she goes, but you did when I was on the meth. And I said to her, well, that's because the only thing you understand, you think love is money, because that's your be-all, end-all to get the next lot of drugs. So I wanted to let you know that I still loved you, so I gave you money. Now that you're clean, I think you know that I love you. I don't need to give you money.
Exactly.
So
that's an interesting perspective.
I know
like
it was a bit. She scratched her head. I could hear her like thinking, "What the heck, Mum? Now I'm good. You're not going to reward me. You rewarded me when I'm bad." And I think it wasn't that.
It wasn't. It was your way of showing your love
that
for
I
her.
still loved her.
Yeah. Otherwise, but you've had to, like you said, you had her in the garage. You only allowed 2 people, and you sort of just said to her, you know. This is not happening, and you've got the police, and that's not enabling as well. That's letting them know that there's consequences for their actions.
Yeah.
And that's tough love.
Yeah.
And that is tough love, and I'm sure it would have been very tough for you.
It was, and, especially to see that I had dropped her in to the police as well, you know, like, but, you know, the jails are full of meth addicts in New Zealand, and there's so many.
And plus, I should say at this stage, it doesn't always work giving money. In this case, it was different. Every situation is different. But giving money can be a form of enabling. And I do send out, for those of you who do ask for help, for support, I send out a little video clip that does it's a 3-minute clip from the guy who runs Shalom House in WA. And he really, to the point, in 3 minutes, explains to family members exactly what enabling and not enabling is. And it's a really good clip, so I send that out to you as well. So if you want any of that, if you'd like some information, guys, about loved ones caught in addiction, please give us a call on 1-800-NO-TO-ICE, or you could leave a PM message, a private message on our Facebook account, and we'll get back to you in that way. Look up our website too, guys, www.australianiantiicecampaign.org.au, and have a look through our website there. It's pretty easy to have a look around and stuff, and also if you'd like to donate, because we actually don't get government funding. We actually rely on the kindness of individuals in the community and sponsorship from businesses. Like I said, I thank Gardner Cars, we thank Grilled, even Gold Coast Rotary. We get a lot of Rotaries helping us out, and we would like to thank Gold Coast Rotary, who recently helped us get into a school, find the money to get into the school and teach some kids on the dangers of ice addiction, which I heard was very successful. And also Interbat is another, we would like to say thank you to them tonight too. So we do have these people that donate money into us so that we can do the work out there that needs to be done. Care support, what we're talking about, family support tonight, is another arm of AAIC. The main arm focus is education and awareness, because we'd rather cut off the demand, which lowers the supply. We've got to come in from underneath, because as soon as we can if we can change a generation, could you imagine in times to come, it affects the mental health system, the EDs, emergency departments, the jails. There'll be less rehabs needed.
Costing such a lot of money.
It just affects, what is it, I think, one person on ice affects 9 different people, is that right, Andrea? 9 people are affected over one person being on ice. It affects the community, it has that ripple effect. If we can get into the schools, and I'm talking to parents here too at this point, actually I'm just reminded, talk to your principals, talk to your PNCs, please. Get on their back, because you could be changing the course of history in your child's life. In schools, we go into high schools, we go in with a team, we tell the kids how it is, they share their hard stories, and they let the kids know that this is what's going to happen to them. If they try this, I can't think of the most evil word for this drug. You know, it's out there. We've heard of people out the front of schools. We've had teachers having to walk kids onto their bus because dealers are out there injecting lollies with this drug and telling young girls they can lose weight. Well, yeah, but look what else it does to you. You know, so if we can get in there, teach you people about what it is, give you education, then you can then make your own informed choice. And I guarantee you, less people will be wanting it, which will lower the demand and cut off that supply.
And that lose weight thing too is another thing with young girls staying thin. I mean, I remember Shannon taking it, relapsing when she came off it and going back because she goes, I'm putting on weight. So she didn't want to be fat, which she never was. You know, she was just a lovely girl. And I remember after I kicked her out the first time, because I said, if by not charging you rent and making you pay rent, I'm enabling you, I'm giving you money to go and buy drugs. So I'm not going to do that. Go and rent a place somewhere or go and live somewhere else. And then I didn't see her for 5 months, which was really difficult. And when I did eventually see her again, she looked like a newborn bird. I was devastated. She is all skinny and drawn, and her eyes were popping out, and you know, like, luckily my children are beautiful children. I raised them homeopathically and with the best clean food. Some of them, Jeremy never had a filling in his mouth until he was 32.
Wow.
They had beautiful teeth. I used to think about her teeth being ruined, her beautiful skin being ruined, her hair falling out. And I have a picture of her when she went into jail and a picture of her now, which I show people, you know, say this was her then, this is her now, and she's back to being beautiful again.
I'd love, hopefully she'll come over here, and when she does, you bring her in. I'd love to meet her and give her a cuddle. And the thing is, she was worried that she wants to come over here and be part of my life here. And she said, Mum, will they let me back into the country because of the aggravated robbery? And I said, you have an Australian passport. You were born in Sydney. They have to. They have to let you in. So that's they can't stop her at the border and send her back, because a lot of Kiwis are being sent back because of these various reasons, ICE and aggressiveness and stuff like that. So yeah, she does want to come over for a holiday, and she. Yeah, she's so strong now, and I'm just so awesome to hear. Yeah, so proud of her. And her story, and the way she's now a supervisor in a rehab. Yeah, she's giving back to community, and she's saving other lives. Well, I got a private message on Facebook just 2 days ago saying your daughter is amazing, and what every mother loves to hear. Yeah, and I said which one, but I knew the other baby was doing her OE. She is in Mallorca. So I said, it's got to be Shannon. And I said, why? And she goes, she's helping a friend of mine whose son is addicted to meth. And I've just watched her try and help him get through this and get off it. Lived experience. Lived experience works. It's, you know, we don't like to idolise the drugs, and we've been accused of that, of going into the schools and making it look like it's, you know, fun to do. We can try it and do it and then become like you. I'm sorry, 1 to 2% of people get off this drug. So if anyone's thinking it's idolising the drug, I'm sorry, it's not. It's and that's a small percentage. Like I'm so grateful as a parent that she's one of that small percentage that has been clean for this long. Because most people relapse and go back; they can't do it. That's right, they do, and their lives are destroyed. Yeah. So, is there any long-term, like, is there any physical effects now that Shannon has to live with? She just. I was with her last time when she had a tooth removed, because it destroys your teeth. It does. The ones she's got are still good, but you know she had this tooth out, and she managed to get through a program where it only cost her $40, and the dentist said, "Do you want your tooth?" And I said, "Yeah, put it on your pillow. The tooth fairy will come." I shouldn't say that because of children, but the tooth fairy did come and left $40. Well, there you go. Yeah, and so that was a good thing. So her skin is still good. You know, her hair, because when she was in recovery, she wasn't allowed to use hair dye. They randomly drug tested just any time, so she couldn't use hair dye. When she was on the meth, she used to dye her hair every week, sometimes every 3 days, so the police, to change her appearance, so the police, to try and fool the police, which she never did. Yeah, no. Not in West Auckland, they knew her well. But you don't think straight when you're on the drug. So now her hair, she hasn't dyed it for 2.5 years, it's back to a beautiful natural colour, and her she just looks clean and healthy and beautiful. Does she have issues with memory loss, or is that? Yeah. See, that's one of the biggest ones I know with Andrea. She suffers. She can't remember certain parts of her life with raising her kids because of what the drug has done to her brain. and that's, I mean, it slowly comes back as you create new neurological pathways in the brain and do different things. It
reconnects.
It reconnects, and that's the great thing how God created our brain with being plasticity. But it takes, I was told, a minimum 12 months to 2 years for your brain to be totally, or to a point where you can fully function properly.
I think the little round memory things just get disconnected. They're still
Yeah,
there, but they're disconnected from your recall system.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And the synopsis, I've forgotten the name of it. Neurological pathways of the brain, because they get damaged by the drug. And who wants that? And this is what we say to the kids.
It's hard enough trying to remember stuff with all the stress of life and all of the things that you need to do without having that.
And they not always. I've just told, not always do people come out of psychosis either. They still have psychotic episodes years on. They still, and because you experienced it with your daughter, and that psychosis, that fear of people chasing them, the government after them, or people talking to them, that can always return at times. And
she did tell me about an experience of hearing people talking to her and stuff like that. You know, and it's like, some of the things that she tells me, little bit by little bit. I'm glad that she's still alive. Did I mention waking up in the middle of the road with a truck bearing down on her, tooting? She'd passed out on the street. She told me that she woke up in hospital, many episodes going to hospital with the doctors ripping her shirt open, about to stab her in the heart with the adrenaline needle because she had died.
Oh my!
And I was over there before I moved over to Australia. I went round there once, and she was passed out in her driveway, and her blood, her heartbeat was up to over 200 or something. Her pulse was over 200. So, which is just about nearly ready to give you a stroke. That sort of thing is stroke material.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
Who wants to go through that? Who wants to put their loved ones through that? Guys, really,
it's
think
terrifying.
about it.
Some of the stuff that I saw, and spending the night in jail and going to court with her and talking her through that and saying, now that you haven't been put in jail this time, let's just try and fix this and get on the straight and narrow. And she goes straight to this creepy guy, drug dealer guy, who'd be waiting for her, and probably
it's demonic. It really is demonic.
I'd drop her there and just leave, and it's like, it was horrible to watch. Some of the things that she did.
Oh wow.
Which she obviously regrets now, but it's going to shape her into a wonderful person. But she can't change
the past, but she can do something about the future, and that sounds like what she's doing, which is really, really good. And you too, as a mum who has supported her, we'd love to have you on our team as family support, Arlene, to be able to help other mums, other dads, loved ones of those in addiction, because you know what it's like. You know how, that it's these traps that you go into,
and it's such a horrific thing. You think it seems like this terrible journey that's going to only end one or two ways.
It is.
And it's like you wonder if you're going to get the knock on the door, the police saying your daughter's dead, but luckily, I pray this 6 days before she was arrested and put in jail, I was down under the full moon by the river just praying to God and the universe that somebody will help my daughter. And 6 days later she was arrested and put in jail.
And that was the help.
And that was it. And at first I was glad. Yes. And then I spent 5 months crying because she was in jail. And it's but I was glad it was...
because it's better to get her off the... And I hear that constantly from parents who ring in. They say, look, my son has just been put in jail, and you've got no idea how relieved I am to know that he is off Yeah.
be thinking while we're in this one.
We're back on air. Oh, we're back on air, guys. Sorry about the cut in transmission there, but we lost transmission, guys. But we were talking about ambivalence, Aileen,
Yes.
with the knowing when your child goes to prison, you can go from there.
Yeah, it's like you're glad that they're in there because they're taken away from the access, hopefully, of the drugs, and they're forced into a rehab. But then you spend nights crying, thinking that they're in jail and it's a horrible place, and they don't have any comforts. And Shannon was telling me how she used to make makeup out of coffee and moisturiser or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Wow.
because she had no makeup, and they had various little tricks, and
They say desperation is the mother of invention or something.
there you go. And
Yeah,
they did.
yeah.
She was only allowed a certain amount of money, and then I slipped back into enabling. Well, it's not enabling.
Well,
it's
it's a fine line.
yeah.
It
She
really
needed
is.
toothpaste and needed so I was putting money in the account, which was difficult from Australia because she's not allowed to have any in there before you put another $70 in there, and they're only allowed to. So every time she spent it, right up to the end, there was 3 days that it took for the money to come from here to there. So she was without spending power. So
Right.
it was a test of her budgeting too, I suppose, and appreciating what she
Yes.
had, which is carried through into her. I notice is carried through into her rehabilitation, that she appreciates everything. She appreciates the small things, like material possessions aren't important to her anymore like they used to be, because you could sell it and buy something with it. I remember once when I moved out of the house, I gave her a china cabinet, antique china cabinet my mum had bought for me, which at the time was quite precious, and she sold it, for drugs, and I had to learn to detach from the sadness of something that my mum, who's passed over, that I don't have of hers anymore. But when I sold up to come over here, I gave everything away, like my whole life of gathering furniture or little knickknacks, and I gave it all away and came over with a suitcase and just bought everything a clean start. I spent 4 months here not working, just finding myself again, and just meditating and trying to get myself back together, because I didn't realise how messed up that
And that's
I
the
was.
other thing too I'd like to mention. You bring up a very good point there, Aileen, is looking after yourself as a family member with someone in addiction. It is so important, guys. You've heard of the age-old analogy of the oxygen mask falling, and if you're in a plane and it's going down, the oxygen mask falls. You don't put it on the person next to you or your child first, you put it on yourself first. You've got to look after yourself first, and you've got to take care of your own health, and by doing that you can then probably pour that love on your loved one who's going through addiction and help them in a bigger way, because otherwise I know women that have gotten so physically sick. We had recently one mother committed suicide because she just gave up on and was just in so much pain for her daughter, and it just
I can
it
understand
breaks
that.
it. Sorry.
I can understand
breaks
how
your
that could
heart.
happen, because it's such a hard road. And first you've got all this guilt that maybe you've done something, you haven't raised them properly, and what could you have done better, and then luckily I've got 2 other children who are absolutely brilliant and helped me through it as well, but they were affected by it as well. The little, my baby, she's 23 now, from the time when Shannon was naughty, which was 11, all through, most of our family time was consumed with trying to get Shannon on the straight and narrow from 11, and Samara had to take a back seat to it.
Yeah.
And she did, and she never complained or anything. She's a beautiful child. Even now, you'll say, should we do this? And she go, oh, whatever's good for you. It's like
she's learnt to put herself last.
Yeah.
And that's important. Put yourself first. Look after yourself. And if you need support, we can help you with that. We can give you the most wonderful counsellors. We could lead you to the most wonderful family support, and Eileen's just joined our team at AAIC, and we're like a family here. we just love on each other, and we guide with love and compassion.
And that is the answer.
Yeah.
Love is the answer.
It
It's
is.
like the only way you can get through is to keep loving your child, even though they're ugly and horrible and they're abusing you and they're stealing from you and everything. You have to just keep loving them and sending them love. If you can't do it physically, send it from
Yeah, and if they are homeless, sit with them in the street and say,
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah.
but I can't have you come home
Yeah.
like this because I've got to look after myself.
Yeah.
And you're destroying what you're doing is destroying the family, not
Yeah.
them, you know.
That's right.
And understand that when they're in psychosis or they're hearing voices, it's not them. If they become violent, because a lot of the psychosis is violent attacks, it's
Yeah.
not them. It's the drug that's taken away parts of their brain that puts them into that fearful place. And so they lash out, you know. And I know that a lot of police officers ones that we've spoken to and trained, has said, oh, I'm going to treat those addicts differently now, because I know now it's not the person, it's what's
the
taken.
evil
It's like,
inside them.
and I say to people, it's like you get a broken arm, it has
Yeah.
to go into a cast for a while until it heals.
Yeah.
Our brain gets broken on this evil drug that we're not meant to be putting in our bodies. And by the way, there's poisons in it. It's cut with so many
Yeah.
disgusting poisons like Drano, acids, that's eating away and stuff. What is it? The stuff that you take your nail polish off with?
Acetone.
Acetone. It's all things that they use to
Poisons.
melt bodies and melt plastic and things like that. And that's going through, and that's what's destroying your body and your brain. And so, if they're going through psychosis, get beside them and say, okay, we know you're worried about this person, we know you're worried about them attacking, let's take you to a safe place. And they have a different perspective of dealing with the person going through that, you know. And we can offer training in that, we can offer workplace training. So please get on the website, go to your schools, people. I can't emphasise that enough. We've got to get into the schools. We have a goal, we have a dream of getting into every school in Australia, because it should be part of the curriculum, it should be part of the teaching, the education, because it's out there and we can't stop it. We're fooling ourselves if we say we can't. We can stop the actual drug, we can't. But what we can do is we can teach and educate and show people what's going to happen to them when they play with this drug, when they experiment with this drug, you know.
And I believe this generation.
Hold your school.
Yeah, this generation, is it Generation Z? This
Is it?
generation.
I think it's Generation Z.
They are a wonderful lot of children, you know, and from the 20-year-olds down or whatever. And I notice a lot of them don't smoke cigarettes. This is from my job, my observations from my job. A lot of them don't smoke cigarettes. That when they get to teenagers, they're not into the drinking sort of thing that a lot of us were back in the day. You know, like that's
when we were experimenting.
Yeah. And I think they're a cleaner sort of society, but there are a lot of pressures on children too. And if we could talk to them about just not taking it in the first instance. I mean, not putting that poison in your body, you know, when it's just a horrible thing, and it's so addictive, so very addictive, and it's like even good people, you know, might just say they'll experiment or something, but then they can't get off it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened with Andrea. If you know Andrea's story, guys, she was 40, hardly had ever touched a drug in her life. Not even hardly any Panadol, and she was going through a bit of a rough time and had a friend she trusted for many years, passed her an innocent looking pipe and said, here, have some of this, it'll calm you down, make you feel good. 2 years later, $500 a day a habit, lost everything in a puddle. She had her story is very different. If you want to know more, please call in or contact us with the details on the screen, and we can tell you more, and Andrea can share her story with you herself. But she, when she came back to the coast from Melbourne on being drugs, at the airport, she went up to her mum and said, Mummy, I'm home, Mama. Her mum turned around, couldn't recognise her daughter. because she'd lost so much weight, her hair
That's
and her
what
teeth
happens.
and everything you said, and she couldn't recognise her own daughter. I can't imagine what that would be like.
That's what happened when I saw Shannon after 5 months. She just
Mm.
looked like, you know, when the little birds have come out of the shell and they're
Yeah.
skinny and
Yeah.
their all skins are
Mm.
horrible and their eyes are gaunt, and
Mm.
it was just
And you've offered us
terrible.
hope too, Aileen,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you've come through, her daughter has come through the other side of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that that happens, but I want you to know that if you're going through it as a parent, a loved one, a person, there is hope.
yeah.
Okay, look up further, look up other Let's Talk About ICE programs, and you will see we've interviewed, Andrea does fantastic interviews with those others that have come through the other side of addiction. There is hope. I don't care if you've been on this drug for 40 years, 5 years, 2 months, 1 week, there is hope for you
Yeah.
if you're willing to work on it. And so, you know what, guys, do it. Go out there, and parents, loved ones, get onto your school, get onto your P&C committee. We want to hear from you, and we want you to nag your schools to say, I want this in my school. I want you to contact Australian Anti-ICE campaign and get them to, we'll send you what's called a education pack to the schools of what's expected and how the team comes in and runs the interactive workshop. It's really good. We do follow up afterwards as well. And we have never heard an unsuccessful story from the schools we've been in. Everybody's very happy with it. We did a school who did it for the first time today, and all we could get back is positive feedback
From the
saying,
parents.
we want you to come in now, from the teachers, from the
teachers.
staff, we want you to come in now and do the younger kids.
Mm.
So that's fantastic. Join the Army as well, guys, on our webpage if you can help us, because like I said, we rely on the donations and help from the public, please. It costs us $10 to educate one child. Join the AAIC Army, go on our webpage, scroll down to the bottom, you can become a corporate sponsor, an individual sponsor. You can have money come, you can do a one-off donation or you can do a regular donation. We'd really, really appreciate that. We'd also want to remind you that we'll be at Cooley Rocks on the weekend. And sign the petition, of course. Andrea's given me all these signs, and because she's so used to doing the program. You can sign the petition to the government so that we can get into every school and most of all, join the Army. You get a newsletter, regular newsletter, you sign the petition, you become part of the Army, and also if you want bang for your buck, guys, I forgot to advertise the stuff here. You've got our Neo shirts, you've got our caps, and at this time of the year it's cold in Queensland. You've got our caps. This one's a real, if you can hone in on for me, Brad, this is a real popular one with the young people, this cap. Andrea made me wear it.
Eagle campers and trailers.
Eagles, Campers and Trailers, thank you. You're another wonderful sponsor of ours. Thank you so much. So you can go on website, go on our shop, and you can order books, you can order our cups. We've been holding our cups, you know, doing our advertising, holding our cups, mugs. They're good as presents. These are only $15. And please, come down to Cooley Rocks. Now, before we wrap up tonight, Aileen, I'm just going to ask you if you could look down the barrel of the camera, if there's one more thing you could say to parents or anyone out there regarding this insidious drug. Is there anything else you'd like to share with them that you've thought of that we haven't spoken about?
Well,
maybe?
anybody who is ever thinking of picking up a pipe, I would say don't, because once you've done it, you can't go back, you know, obviously. That's why it's such an epidemic. So why bother trying it? Why bother ruining your life because of one stupid little hit, you know, or whatever it is it gives you? I mean, there's so many other ways in life where you can get experience, excitement. I just say don't ever touch the evil drug, and it is an evil drug.
And I was just going to ask you, what is one word you'd use to describe that drug?
Evil.
Evil. See, we get it time and time again, evil.
It is evil, and it destroys so much and so many people.
Yeah.
Some people don't come out of it, you know, like ever. And I've seen in West Auckland this young girl. She walked into the pub that I was managing at one stage, and I didn't even recognise her. She looked like a 40-year-old lady
Oh my
from
goodness.
just a year. I thought, who is this? And somebody had to tell me who it was. She instead of like 19-year-old, she looked like a 40-year-old lady.
See what it does to you, it ages you.
And she was a mess.
Yes,
Her mind
yeah.
had gone and everything.
Yes, you want to look like that?
No.
Please don't.
Right.
And if you need help, call us. There is hope. Please know that. All right, 1-800-NO to ICE. Okay, I want to thank you so much. You are an amazing woman,
Thank
Aileen.
you.
I just absolutely adore you. I adore you. We're going to cuddle on air because you are an amazing woman. You've been through a lot. You've shared your heart tonight. And I want to thank you because I know some of that wouldn't have been easy for you. But you did it to change somebody's life, to let them know that they can have hope. And we really appreciate you so much.
Thank
So
you, Leanne.
Thank you
It's
so
my
much.
pleasure to try and help.
And I look forward to working with you.
Yes.
And I showed you a symbol, remember it, before we started?
Yes.
And because of my crazy hands, I'm unable to do it. So before we go, guys, we're going to sign off. And we're going to sign off with Aileen doing Al, not even. And so enjoy your week, guys, till next week.
Yes.
How does it go? Not even.
One.
No,
One.
once.
I'll do it again.
Do it again. Not even once. So thanks, guys. Enjoy your week. See ya.
Take care.
Even once!
Okay. You ready? After 3. 1, 2, 3.
Not even once!